Tanya. Glad to have you back in the garden today. It is a winter wonderland out here just outside of Chicago, zone 5B/6. And today I'm going to show you the backyard garden tour. Just all of the beautiful winter interests that we have going on and just some of the shrubs that are doing really well and offer a lot of structure. So let's take a closer look. So right behind me is a green screen that we have between my neighbors and our property. And these are a hedge of emerald green arborvitaes. They are fairly mature and they offer such beautiful winter interest. Let me spin the camera around and show you. So here they are, and they just really offer such great structure and winter interest and just so pretty when covered in snow. And it looks very cozy and woodsy, really pretty. And also great forage for the wildlife and just a nice little haven for them. Now, what I like about these emerald green arborvitaes is that they do not bronze. They are incredibly winter hardy. So all throughout the year, we get this very classic true green color, and they require virtually no maintenance, no trimming needed. They have a naturally conical shape, so they offer a very classic Christmas tree feel and just do a great in terms of offering that privacy and green screen. And right here along the back side of my house, I have a fairly new shrub of proven winners, sprinter boxwoods. And my goal with this is to create a very classic shrub that is touching but not a hedge. So I want sort of that round dome shape, but I want them touching or maybe just a few inches apart so that way I can see their true form. They are looking really cute right now if I get up close, offering a lot of really nice winter interest and structure. And I did purchase these at Home Depot just this past summer, so they are very new, but they are doing really well. This is all new growth here. You can see if I shake off the snow, this bright green right here at the tip is all new growth. So they are doing really well. These are all on drip, and these will grow to about 2 by 2 feet tall and wide. So they'll form a really nice, cute, round shape. And right over here, we have a golden yew. And this one is a non-invasive variety. The fall color was really spectacular. You can still see some of it up close. And this will get about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. It may need to be moved at some point, but I just really wanted something here for the meantime to block my air conditioning unit. And right here next to the shed, we have some maiden grass and another one. This is the one I divided from and transplanted. And the reason why I did that, it was actually being overshadowed by this sumac. This sumac I pruned on this past summer just because it was getting too big for the space. And I will likely end up removing this. It is not of the invasive variety, but it is just getting too large too fast, and it is overshadowing this area. So I would like to put something possibly evergreen in this area just to add more vertical interest here, which I think will be really pretty. And right over here along the shed, I think this is such a sweet little area. Here we have a weeping cherry tree that gets about 6 to 12 feet tall and wide. It is very hardy, very drought tolerant, 0 water supplemented to it. And it is tucked in there pretty closely to the shed, but I think it's doing really well. I have trimmed on it just a bit for some of the branches that were scratching on the shed, but other than that, I think it looks really sweet. It is in its 3rd season right now, and yeah, I think it's putting on some nice size, and I don't anticipate this being a spacing issue. Right back here we have Dervila shrubs. They have this beautiful red leaves in the summer and very, very drought tolerant. They actually naturalize via the rhizomes. So I will see rhizomes popping up right next to the shrub, which is kind of fun. Here we have another grass. I believe this is a Chinese grass, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the exact variety, but it is a very pretty grass. Right here we have a bobo hydrangea that is rehabilitating. It was accidentally broken in multiple places, so I am rehabilitating it. It did put on quite a bit of growth this past summer, so I'm hopeful that it will shoot up some buds next spring. Here we have Buddleia, false indigo, super hardy. This started out as a small little section right here that I started from seed 3 years ago, and it has naturalized and put on this much growth. And I just think it's so beautiful. These are just gorgeous. If you do not have these in your garden, I highly recommend. They bloom the brightest indigo blue in the spring and then just offer a gorgeous structure throughout the rest of the season. And they have these gorgeous seed pods that are very large. In fact, here is a handful, and you can hear them shaking, which I think is just really fun. And you can take these and start seeds from them. They are a little hard to start from seed. The reason being they have a tap root, meaning that it's a single long root. So they do not like to be transplanted. In fact, they do not transplant well at all. If you try to transplant and divide these, do it in the spring before it wakes up or in the fall when it's going to sleep, because I have learned my lesson. I tried to transplant and divide this when it was already awake, and I kind of lost the plant for the season because they go into such shock. So just a tip about this plant here. Here we have a foxglove shrub, very beautiful, has a classic green foliage in the summer, offers gorgeous structure and lots of foraging for the animals. It has a bright yellow bloom in the late spring, and it just is really pretty. It is planted a smidge too close to the shed, but that's okay. It's really happy there, and it's offering the structure that I'd like for that space. And right here we have gold spirea. I have one here and one right over here. These are very drought hardy, very cold tolerant, offer a lot of great structure in the space, and bloom a bright pink flower followed by really pretty golden leaves and gorgeous fall color. And my plan for this space really is just more color right here. I do have an issue here because we have an oak tree that was planted here that we had removed. So the roots are fairly big and very hard to dig into. But I'm thinking I'm going to put a berm in here of some type just to plant some annuals in and have a ton of color here in this cute area. There is a pathway that runs like this that you can't see right now, but it's a lot of fun. And right here we have knockout roses, 3 small shrubs. They bloom a very pretty baby pink, just gorgeous. Love the structure on these, and very prolific bloomers. And right over here, along this side of the shed, is a hedge of echinacea and rudbeckia that are cut back. They are no-brainer plants. They really just kind of self-seed and populate and continue to grow on their own. I do have a little bit of drip here to these, but other than that, they are super drought hardy. And here I have a hedge of alliums, the ornamental alliums that bloom that bright blue in the summer, spring and summer, so that is a really pretty feature. And I typically have these window boxes full year round. This year I just did not get around to it, but one of the challenges with this window box is that this one is west facing and just gets slammed by the sun, so these plants tend to struggle. Whereas on the other side of the shed, if I walk back over here, this one is east facing, and so it doesn't get exposed to the hot afternoon sun. So there's different types of flowers that have different light requirements that I always need to think about when I position plants in these window boxes. Let's actually spin around over to this side. This is a newly established bed over here, and the property line in our area is a little odd in that this right here actually belongs to my neighbor, even though it's on our side. So it's a little bit weird to garden in because I can't really plant anything super permanent here. I just have to kind of create an alleyway. So I need to think about that. If you have any ideas, let me know. Drop it in the comments below. But right now, what I'd like to do, my plan is I'd like to create a green screen just to block the view to the garage where they store some of their hardware, ladders, etc. I want to create a green screen. So what I've done, I got a bunch of gorgeous little emerald green arborvitaes and planted them in sort of a zigzag hedge pattern. And my goal is for these to have the same type of green screen that these do. So right next to it, I've planted a golden yew. And here is more blue grama grass that I started from seed and it's just looking so sweet in these concrete containers. These will, of course, eventually have to be moved as these emerald greens put on size, but for now, it really works. It's really quite pretty. Here we have more blue grama grass. Here I have some catmint, sedum, and another spirea. This is a candy corn spirea that I planted. So all of these will fill in. And again, as these get bigger, these will likely have to be moved. But for now, it offers a really nice drift of underplanting and some interest right below these. Here we have a shrub, a knockout shrub rose that also blooms very pretty baby pink blooms. And here I have a sweet autumn clematis, and my idea is for this just to kind of completely take over this pole and really kind of hide the infrastructure, but I love the sweet autumn clematis bloom. They are highly invasive, so just keep that in mind. They will kind of get big and take over the space, but that is my goal for this area in particular. Here I have another golden spirea, and I continued on with this hedge. So again, my goal is to block the view to the back and just to create a beautiful green screen. Right here, I have a butterfly bush that will get about 5 to 6 feet tall and wide, blooms gorgeous hot pink fuchsia blooms. And right here, I have another rose, and I apologize, I don't know the variety. The tag is buried here, but it blooms a very pretty pink. And I just think the structure is so beautiful. Another one of these here. And here we have a Proven Winners Firelight Tidbit Standard tree, which I just think is so fun. It performed beautifully this summer. I'll see if I can find a picture of it and put it on the screen. It just outdid itself. It is in its first year, at least in my garden. It's clearly a few years old, but it just bloomed prolifically, aged wonderfully. I can see here that several of the blooms, the stems are bent. We had to net many of our plants because they were just covered in cicadas. We were one of the areas of the nation that was hit very hard with the 2 cicada broods, so many of our plants were decimated. They loved this one here, so I really tried to protect it as much as I could, and I think it did okay. Here we have the Devil's Nine bark, and this is such a beautiful structure. If you see, I think it underplants this hydrangea tree beautifully. It has a nice draping effect, super hardy. They do require some water in our area, and I have noticed too with nine bark, especially in our area, as we are quite humid in the summer, that they do get powdery mildew. So just something to be mindful of. You may have to spray it with a copper fungicide or something to prevent that from happening. But the purple foliage is just gorgeous, especially contrasted with these white blooms. And right back here, I have a very cute Vanderwolf pine. Vanderwolf pines are perfect for small garden spaces. These will grow about 8 to 10 feet wide, maybe 15 feet tall. So very narrow, and so you can really tuck them in. This is clearly a baby. They are relatively fast growers, and I just think they offer such lovely evergreen interest. And they do have a needle cast effect, which is very typical of evergreens. They will needle cast and drop. That's very normal. They're actually just shedding foliage they no longer need and preparing for new growth for the season. Very winter hardy. This is on drip. I wanted to ensure that this got enough water because it is a fairly young plant. So just take a look around. Take in all this beautiful winter interest. So let's head right over here to this side by the shed. And this is very much a work in progress. My goal for this space is to create cozier rooms. I am not sure yet what that looks like. I just think this space is too big um, on its own. I would like to create more rooms that have kind of designated purposes with views and a vista to the garden. That's kind of my vision. All right, so all of this is a fairly newly established garden bed that I've really kind of put together this past year. So starting over here, I want to continue to add more winter interest, more structural pieces, pardon the bucket. Here we have another emerald green arborvitae, followed by a Carl Forster grass. I have several of these here, and they just offer, again, such lovely winter interest. We have another spirea and sedum. So just lots of layers, lots of different plants. Here we have a gorgeous butterfly bush. This blooms dark purple and will get quite large, and it may need to be moved. And if it does, that's okay, no problem. That's the great thing about these, is that you can easily transplant them if they just outgrow their space. And here I have penstemon that I started from seed a few years ago. These are the onyx and pearls variety, which is like very dark black almost foliage. So it's really pretty with white blooms. Very gorgeous. And here we have a variegated weigela. The variegated weigela is just stunning. It sends up shoots of branches that kind of have an arching effect. This is somewhat way down in snow, but you can see this is the effect, and it is just beautiful. And the variegated leaves are pink and green. So it just offers a gorgeous structure in the winter and in the summer. It's quite pretty. Here we have another shrub rose and more sedum down here. Here we have a Proven Winners hardy hibiscus. The blooms are hot pink. The name is escaping me. It is just gorgeous. It does need to be cut back. These are the latest to go to kind of wake up from dormancy in the spring. So just something to keep in mind. If you have one of these and it looks like it's dead, it's not. It just wakes up very, very late, but will continue to provide blooms well into October when many other plants are done. So that's the upside of this. I may leave this because I think it does offer a lot of winter interest, so I probably won't cut it back. It's actually quite pretty. Some more grasses here. Here we have a blue stem grass that has gorgeous seed heads. You can see. This is a blue stem variety, and I really wanted more blue in this area just to cool down the space because the fence itself is quite warm. So I wanted that blue element to contrast with that. And right here is a start of many new plants that I got this past year for free. Home Depot was doing one of its, we're done with the plants for the season, so we're going to throw them all away days. And I happened to be there. So perfect timing. I got all of these plants for free. I dragged my 9-year-old with me, and he sat in the car and had plants everywhere around him. So it was very funny. So this is the Bloom and Easy variety, Moon Rock. I am not familiar with this hydrangea, but it looks very similar to a limelight. And I'm very interested to see how this does. 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. And it's a paniculata variety. And what's nice about this is that it does grow in a more narrow upright form. They are somewhat stressed because they were not treated very well at the store. So I'm hoping that with proper water, proper light, they will irrigate or they will rehabilitate nicely here. Here we have a Winecraft smoke bush. This variety here has more reddish leaves than the classic dark purple and just has beautiful winter interest. Here we have a morning glory grass. This is a very, very pretty variety that just has a gorgeous structure and prolific producer, just reproduces, and I can divide this very easily. Here we have another Moonrock hardy hydrangea and another smoke bush back here. Here we have a more buddleia that I divided and transplanted. These will naturalize in the space and just And right here we have a Ruby Falls redbud. This is a gorgeous tree I just picked up this year, and it will get about 12 to 15 feet tall by 6 feet wide or so. So it may kind of fill in this space, but I want this space to be full. I want this space to be lush, and I would like just to have sort of a cozy feeling when I see this. So this actually has dark red foliage in the summer and throughout the year. Obviously, it is a deciduous tree, so it does lose its leaves, but I think the winter interest on here is just so pretty. I mean, the structure is very unusual, very architectural, and I think that's very pretty. Here we have a baby blue eyes spruce that is also newly planted this year. And here we have a baby blue eyes spruce that is also first year in my garden. It is very pretty. I think it offers a lot of winter interest here. It's just so sweet. And right underneath here, we actually have a grape Concord barberry, which I thought the grape purple with the blue needles would be very pretty. Here we have a 9-bark variety called Savannah Sunset. You can see how beautiful that fall foliage is, 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. And this is another one that I got for free at Home Depot. They were throwing it away, so I grabbed this one. Another emerald green arborvitae. And here is a gorgeous hedge of knockout roses. These bloom bright, bright fuchsia pink. Here's a faded bloom. And just prolific producers. Put on a lot of size. These are about 5 years old now. Here we have the James Galloway David Austin rose. Isn't that just stunning? This rose I ordered bare root about 3 years ago, and it has put on a lot of size. My one struggle with this is that I don't know if this is the best space for it. I wonder if it wants to get taller because it shoots out these very, very long canes. And I'm no expert in pruning roses, but I have watched enough David Austin tutorials to think I've kind of got it, but I just am struggling a little bit with getting this to climb in the way I would like. Maybe I need more of a rambler. I'm not entirely sure. So something to experiment with. Maybe I'll be transplanting this at some point in the future. But I am trying to train this along the fence here just to kind of have a draping effect. I would love to have roses sort of draping over the fence for a soft, lush feel. And there is the raised garden bed all nicely put to sleep. Here we have Rudbeckia that are just so invasive in our area. I have about taken half of this plant out and it's just gotten so large already. Here we have more sedum and another moon rock hydrangea. This is a gorgeous coral colored knockout rose, and this has a really unusual structure. You can kind of see the draping effect that the branches have, that the stems have, and it's just really pretty in contrast, very nicely with the white fence. Here we have some phlox that definitely needs to be cut back. They do struggle with powdery mildew in our area as well. And these right here, this was quite exciting. These are all proven winners Bobo hydrangeas that I got for free. They were throwing these away at Home Depot and I grabbed them. They are a little bit stressed. Some of the branches were broken, but Bobos are very hardy, very resilient. They perform really well in my garden. So I'm hopeful that these will rehabilitate and put out some nice blooms next year. They are all hooked up on drip, so they will have a chance to wake up, and hopefully if I baby them, they will come back to life. Here we have some more autumn joy sedum and another James Galloway rose that I just love on this arch. The arch and the fence really offer so much interest in this winter time. I'm really pleased that I chose this because when there's not a lot of activity going on in the winter, the fence and the arch just offers a lot of structure and shape that is pleasing to the eye. And here I have more sedum. I divided a bunch in the fall, so hopefully these will all take nicely. We have more Carl Forster grass. And here we have Amsonia. This is a gorgeous, hardy perennial in my area. Blooms a bright green foliage spring and summer, and then fades to a bright yellow in the fall. It is especially impactful in large drifts, and it is just a gorgeous, gorgeous plant. Right here I have some white daisies, and right behind it I have another yarrow. This yarrow is just beautiful. Bright green foliage with pink, pale pink blooms. So pretty. And right over here I have a hedge of Carl Forster grasses. And my idea behind this is to create a very pretty sort of sweeping bed. And in front of this, I have a bed of ornamental alliums. And this Carl Forster hedge actually blocks my vine crops that I have planted in a fenced-in area back here that are kind of just, they take over. Vine crops, I just want to let them do their thing. And so the Carl Forster hedge is a really nice, pleasing look, and I can kind of disguise all the vine crops that I usually have planted back here. And if I take it all in here, it doesn't look like much, but I have done so much work in this back area. If you believe it or not, this was completely invasive forest with invasive vine up until last year. I will throw some footage up on the screen and you'll get an idea of how much this has transformed. It is just such a beautiful space now. And my vision for this is to have tall woodland evergreens that just are cozy and really inviting, and interspersed with beautiful shrubs and grasses. And if I continue on here, this entire area, you can kind of see it is a very large garden bed that I am planning on planting up. This is all brand new. Like I said, from last year, all of this was planted. This was in a totally invasive forest. So this is a brand new garden bed and quite empty really, but my goal again is to have a very lush, full garden that's full of interest. So this is a small little path here, and the vine crops are typically planted back here. And we'll just take a walk along this garden bed and take a look at all the fun things that I have here. We have some animal tracks. This is a dappled willow. My goal for this is to plant this up into a standard tree form, to trim it up and then transplant it. This does transplant pretty nicely and it grows very fast. So I would like to have this more of an ornamental piece that's a main focal point in my garden, probably in the front yard somewhere. So I'm going to probably transplant that one in the spring. And right here, I have some goldenrod that I just stuck in there, and this is filled out really nicely, and this will grow to a nice size shrub. And I can always move this goldenrod. They do transplant very nicely. They're extremely hardy, and they shoot up beautiful sprigs of yellow blooms in the fall. So just look at this evergreen here. So pretty, again, doing its needle casting, which is very typical. Contrasting really nicely with this zebra grass, which is flopped a little bit, but that is okay. It's still looking really good with these seed heads. And more yarrow here. These are all yarrow that I divided from a single plant in the spring, so it's put on a lot of size. Another tiny wine nine bark, and more zebra grass. So you can see planted in drifts in the fall, just offers quite a view. Here we have a beautiful eastern red bud. This is on a slight burn here, and this just is such a hardy tree in our area, and I love the structure of this. So this will likely continue to grow out like this and sort of be a main focal point. I'm excited to see these pink blooms in the spring. Here we have a yellow twig dogwood. This will get about 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. Bright yellow twigs, so fun. Again, very new in my garden. Here we have another baby blue eye spruce. This is somewhat neglected over the years. Unfortunately, we just didn't have it planted in the right space. So I'm hoping it will rehabilitate, but these are very slow growers. So if anything, it just offers some really sweet evergreen interest in the garden, again with this bright blue needles. Another yellow twig dogwood. And here we have a really pretty White Hills Norway spruce. This is a classic Christmas tree. The foliage, or the needles rather, are very soft. Nothing prickly about this. Very pretty here, and I want this to kind of fill in this space right here. Here we built a little fire pit to do in the meantime. Has a very cute woodsy feel. And you can't see it now, but there's actually a little path that I built with planks, wooden planks, so you can kind of see the outline. So we'll just walk the path. Here we have green giant arborvitaes. These will get massive, and my goal here is to have a green screen so high. I want everything kind of blocked and just to have a lovely evergreen interest. These grow very quickly, and this tree right here, which is a lot taller than me, was about this high when I purchased it this past spring. So it's put on a ton of size. These are incredibly hardy. And what I like about these is that they have a very open structure. So unlike other arborvitaes like the emerald green or North Pole, which is a very closed structure, this offers sort of a classic Christmas tree structure and shape, so that I get the benefits of all the arborvitaes, like fast growing, drought tolerant, very hardy, but with some of the benefits of a typical Christmas tree, like a spruce, because I think this kind of mimics this shape and structure. So I just think it's very pretty. I would highly recommend this if you have the space for it. These do get quite large, but very, very pretty. And right here, I have a red twig dogwood putting on a ton of size. I think I mentioned this in another video where I was creating my winter containers. This did grow somewhat close together because we had to net it due to the cicadas, but I think it will rebound, and it just offers such a beautiful red contrast to the arborvitaes in the background. And right here we have the blue moon juniper, and this is just a gorgeous plant. Typical of juniper varieties, it does have bright blue needles. It's actually quite soft compared to other junipers. It is in its first year in my garden, and it has put on a little bit of size. They are moderate growers, and they will grow to about 4 to 6 feet wide, 12 to 15 feet tall. So I'm hoping that I can have some blue elements back here. I have it underplanted with a Savannah Sunset 9-bark, and I think the contrast of the blue and the red and orange will be really pretty throughout this season. And right here we have a white spire birch tree. This is its first year in my garden. Birch are notoriously fast growers. They can grow up to 3 feet in a growing season. So I am really excited to see this thing really come to life. What is interesting about birch is that the younger birch trees will actually have a darker bark than the older ones. So as the tree ages, its bark truly is bright white. And I think that is such a pretty feature. The leaves are a beautiful green in the season, and they kind of flutter in the wind. They're a gorgeous shape. And I just think this offers such a nice structure to the backdrop of the fence and planted around with the emerald green arborvitaes. They are an exceptionally hardy tree. Birch are big drinkers, so I do have this hooked up to drip, at least until it becomes fully established. So I just love the multi-trunk structure, and I think it's a really great addition to the backyard. I'm hopeful to get a few more of these on the property. And I just want to point out this borrowed view from my neighbor. My neighbors have a gorgeous property, and check out those pines. These are absolutely massive, very mature. So this is what I look at all summer long, and I'm so grateful for this borrowed view. We have these kind of all along here, so it really gives it that woodsy feel, even though we are in a pretty populated metropolitan area. Well, that is going to do it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun to do. What a beautiful winter wonderland. And I was so excited when I saw snow this morning. I wanted to get out and capture this as quickly as possible. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.